Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining our Matchmaker session today. My name is Hannah Elgersma, and I'm the project coordinator for City Lab Hamilton. Matchmaker events are where we learn more about the projects that have been submitted by staff members and work with our faculty members to try and find good student, faculty, and staff partnerships to tackle the projects. Today, we are joined by Lisa Maychak, and who's the project manager of Age-Friendly City, Healthy and Safe Communities and Long-Term Care Homes Division, and Miriam Toth, who is the Seniors Advisory Committee member. So the committee brings us a challenge today to create a guide that makes it easier for older adults to find information on various housing options and supports as they age. So first, I would love to hear from you, Lisa. Could you tell us about your role at the city and how your work impacts Hamiltonians?
Sorry, Hannah, I didn't get the last part of the question.
Yeah. Tell us about your role at the city and how your work impacts Hamiltonians.
Okay. So my position, as Hannah mentioned, I'm the project manager for Hamilton's Age-Friendly Plan, which I'm not sure if everyone is familiar with it, but it's essentially the senior strategy. Basically, the age-friendly plans are on the growth, I would say. The World Health Organization initiated the age-friendly framework over 10 years ago, basically to enlist cities and communities across the world to begin planning for the needs of older adults, because we know that this age demographic is a rapidly growing one. Hamilton initiated their first age-friendly plan back in about 2012, 2013, when they partnered with the Hamilton Council on Aging and the Seniors Advisory Committee. And the first plan was launched in 2014. And then over 5 years, the recommendations, or the majority, I think it was around 80% of the recommendations were implemented. With the 3 partners collaborating, as well as some other community partners. And then in 2019, the 3 partners who formed the collaborative committee decided that we needed to look at the current priorities and needs of older adults. So a large and very broad consultation took place in 2019 with older adults, with some community organizations, city staff, to identify, again, priorities, needs, and some solutions to some of the existing problems that older adults were experiencing. I think over 4,000 were consulted, and the idea was to launch the second plan in 2020, but then COVID hit, so everything kind of was put on halt. Basically because many city staff were redeployed. A lot of other community organizations who were sitting at the table had to pivot their services and programs as a result of COVID. But we did end up launching the second plan in 2021, and we're currently in the implementation phase. So I mentioned the 3 partners are the lead partners. There are also many others sitting at the table, so some city staff and community organizations. One of the big things that we did was align the work of the Seniors Advisory Committee. So the Seniors Advisory Committee is a committee of City Council, and the purpose of the Seniors Advisory Committee is basically to be that advocate for older adults in the community. So they would be that conduit to Emergency and Community Services Committee, which is a standing committee of City Council. So what we did was we aligned the work of the Seniors Advisory Committee with the recommendations in the age-friendly plan, because it only makes sense. So the Seniors Advisory Committee has 4 working groups. 1 is communications, 2 is elder abuse, 3 is transportation, and then the 4th one is housing. And Marian is the chair of our housing working group. And that's what we're here to talk about today, is a project that they have initiated. And we looked at when we first met, we looked at City Lab as being a potential partner, both to have that intergenerational relationship. So it's older adults working with younger adults, but also to, of course, use their students' expertise, as well as give them a learning opportunity to learn more about the community, resources in the community specifically related to housing for older adults.
Mhm.
So that's that's part of what I do, is I lead the plan. So it's, again, working with our key partners and other community partners. I am also the staff liaison for the Seniors Advisory Committee and lead specific seniors events, seniors awards, seniors kickoff event. So that is it in a nutshell, amongst other duties as assigned.
Yeah. Thank you for the overview, as well as talking a bit about what you do with the city. Yeah, you jumped to some of the questions I have coming up, so
Okay.
that's great. But first, Marion, can you tell us a little bit about your role and some of the highlights that you've had of being part of the Seniors Advisory Committee?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. As Lisa said, I'm a volunteer member on a advisory committee that's selected by City Council, and we are mandated. I'm sorry, I can hear the double tone. To familiarize ourselves with the concerns and the goals of the city, as it wants to support seniors throughout the city, and to share with the city the concerns and goals as the community sees it. So it's a two-way communication. And right now, we are facilitating communications around building an online guide for housing for older adults. And our committee, our working group actually, is working on that now. So we're looking at addressing social, financial, physical, legal, community building, and the well-being needs of seniors of every background. So different languages, different cultures, and every socioeconomic level.
Thank you. How long have you been with the Seniors Advisory Committee?
I've been with it a little over 4 years.
Wonderful. Do you have any specific highlights from that time?
Just the learning curve, especially as we had to go and pivot through COVID, was very interesting. The people I meet and work with are very interesting. Our one, as a housing committee, we worked with different groups around heat mitigation, and we were able to get a motion passed through City Hall to ask the city to petition the provincial government to make some changes in new builds and retrofits around climate change, heat pumps and that, and then also to expand the heat mitigation strategies for the very low income people who are currently struggling today with this heat.
Wow. Yes, definitely today. Thank you. Do one of you two mind telling us a bit more about the advisory committee, kind of how it operates? You've touched on it.
Lisa?
Okay, so the advisory committee, or seniors advisory committee, like all the advisory committees, are volunteer based. So basically, with each term of council, there are, and seniors advisory committee in particular reports to Emergency and Community Services Committee, a standing committee for City Council. So there are members of council that interview applicants and select. I think the seniors advisory committee is up to 19 members. And so there's an interview process. And then once selected, there's an orientation process, which is the responsibility of the staff liaison. The
Mhm.
staff liaison really is a liaison between our clerk's department and members of this of the advisory committee. And so the staff liaison orientates new members. And the expectation of members is to attend monthly meetings and to participate in at least one of the working groups. So we have members
Mhm.
that are members of one or two, or we might even have they're members of the 3 out of the 4 working groups. So some really great contributions. We've got and the seniors advisory committee, you don't necessarily have to be over the age of 55 or over the age of 65. It's if you can contribute to the well-being of all older adults living in Hamilton. So, for example, within this term of council, but she's on maternity leave. We had she was an occupational therapist, and she was I would say a younger adult, but just her clientele was working with older adults, so she felt like she could contribute to the committee. But we have expertise from various backgrounds, like police officers, retired school teachers, government workers, doctors. So the contributions from our advisory committee members are very vast, which is great. So, it's if a motion is passed at a monthly meeting to, bring something to the Emergency and Community Services Committee, then that is the responsibility of the chair of the advisory committee along with the staff liaison. It goes to Emergency Community Services Committee. If it's passed, it then goes on to council.
Mhm.
And there's been some great milestones in the past. I know Marion highlighted some of the work around heat mitigation that has been done this term with the housing work group.
Mhm.
But off the top of my head, the New City Vision, relatively new. I think it's been a few years now. That was largely because of the Seniors Advisory Committee. Free transit for those 80 plus, the Golden Age Pass, that's another one. The Seniors Advisory Committee will also support a lot of say motions that are being put forward by City Council. One of the big ones that the Seniors Advisory Committee is very supportive of is a sidewalk snow removal, because we know that's a huge problem. And even though not everyone's sidewalks getting cleared, there was a motion passed that started this winter term, that snow removal would be done on all main corridor sidewalks. So we are getting there. It's just baby steps. But the other working groups, some of the work they've done is the New City website. There was consultation with the